Morning Broncos country, it's A&J and we're here for another Broncos talk. I am actually a day late on this one. Didn't have a really good day at all yesterday, unfortunately. In fact, it was things that I allowed to carry over from Sunday, which, of course, I said before, I'm not all that mad about the loss, although there were a lot of things that happened during said loss that I'm not overly happy about. And of course, there are a lot of things that happened in said loss that I wasn't fully aware of, at least when it came to the final 2 minutes, because I had turned the game off. I had turned off the stream, not because of the situation of the game, but again, everything with really the stream itself, and quite honestly, my CPU wasn't making me very happy. So that was the big emphasis behind all of that. Hopefully, y'all understand that, and I'm not really going to knock y'all either way, but I just wanted to make sure I got that clarification out there. More than anything else, it was just a matter of me actually being rather heated after said game and in the course of the video that I posted. And like I said, I wasn't aware of some of the things that we're about to talk about, and actually, a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. One I'll do in this video, one I'm about to record here after I finish this video. But for now, we're just going to jump right into business, and, well, you'll see it in the title. I'm actually shouting out good old Liam Coen, but this is actually also a message to Liam as well. I do want to start off by shouting him out because he had his guys ready. I just can't put that any more plainly. I think it was very much evident throughout the course of the game, at least specifically in the second half, and maybe even throughout times in the first half as well. But truth be told, they were awesome that day. I mean, they came out like the better team. They executed like the better team, and that's really all that needs to be said about it. I will go into one aspect of it that kind of leans into it, but not as heavily as this, because even for as much as this dude was looked at when he came in for his Duval thing, like, I know it's not right. Shout out to my man, Mr. Pick Six. He basically is one of the first ones that clued me in is Duval. At least that's the original way. I don't know if they changed it to that. I'm not sure. I don't pay attention much to all of that. But shout out to Duval County, especially because that's pretty much home base for all elite wrestling. So, everything that goes into that. Shout out to Tony Khan for all that's worth, whether some of y'all want to hear that or not. But in all seriousness, though, I do have to issue a warning to Mr. Coen, because just because he actually came through, got a pretty good victory out of us here on Sunday, don't think that shit's going to happen again, Holmes. In fact, I'm anticipating that one way or another, these dudes are probably good enough to get as far as the title game. And as long as everything holds up and the Broncos are still taking care of business on their side of things, that might actually be the rematch we see for said conference title, and of course ultimately a trip to the Super Bowl. So with that in mind, I just want to let everybody, especially Liam Coen and everyone in Duval County, know, don't expect it to work out the same way it did this time around. In fact, I would expect it to be a little bit bumpier for y'all. Y'all put on a hell of a performance, but don't expect it to happen again. And that's just all I'm going to say about it. I'm leaving it at that. And we're going to move along. And again, much respect to the Jags. They won the game. They did a fantastic job. But that didn't mean they didn't have help from the fucking refs. I mean, the whole thing, looking back on it now, especially with that initial scrimmage play where PJ Locke got that shot in on Trevor Lawrence and he got flagged for it, I'm not as mad as that personally as a lot of people, as a lot of other Broncos fans are, and it's fine that that's the way that they feel. I'm not going to hold anyone one way or another on that. That's just what it is. But at the same time, a lot of other things that happen, particularly things that the Jags were getting away with. I'm not going to say the pass rush itself, in fact, I'm going to talk about that also in the next video. I'm not going to say that the pass rush itself was anything overly great. In fact, they actually were a bit lacking despite 5 sacks. But they should have been able to get to Trevor Lawrence a lot more than what they did. And a lot of that does come from a lot of uncalled holding penalties and really just a push-off that Brenton Strange had on P.J. Locke in the red zone that led to, I believe, the second Jacksonville touchdown. And to me, this is getting to be rather inexcusable. And I don't think this is the only place where this was bad. This was bad during the Pats-Ravens game because there was a pass interference call that should have been made on Marlon Humphrey. I think it was Rashawn Butte who was the receiver. And, of course, it ended up working out well because Butte ended up bobbling the ball, didn't have full possession, ultimately for Humphrey to swat it away while they were both on the ground. But there were a lot of missed calls in this game. There were some bad calls in quite a few other games that I caught on to, and it's actually been a trend that has taken place really throughout the entirety of the season. Not just with Broncos games, but pretty much all over the league. Hell, I've even had my best friend Darren texting me about a lot of bad calls that took place during the most recent Chargers-Chiefs game, which is something we'll kind of highlight in the next video here. But truth be told, this is something where I don't know how much the league is actually looking at any of this, but I can tell you right now, it's not overly serious because there's still an awful lot of horrible mistakes going on league-wide, and to me, it's just inexcusable at this point, especially going into the playoff stretch. Now, the thing about it is that with the playoffs, you get a little bit more let them play kind of things going, but I'm a little bit concerned when it comes to that in terms of how the quality of the officiating is going to work out throughout the remainder of the season and going into the postseason. Hopefully it's not too much of an issue because, not that I won't accept a break on behalf of the Broncos, but don't think I'm not going to call that out when it comes along also. So let's just let that be what it is there. And we're going to go ahead and finish this off with the most unfortunate news of the day. Pat Bryant, of course, taking a really huge shot. I forgot the name of the DB. I'm not going to go looking into that right now. But, of course, it was a ball that Bo shouldn't have thrown. At least not in that situation because, it was very, very bang-bang. Dude did lead with the helmet, and I think that you should be a lot more careful about that. I mean, they've kind of been, trying to work this down, yet it still seems to happen no matter what. And of course, dude caught Pat Bryant right on the chin, neck snapped back. Fortunately, all that came from it was just a mere concussion, and obviously he won't be available for the game against Kansas City on Christmas. And really and truly, with the way things are looking, as we'll talk about here in the next video for the Chiefs, I'm not too worried about him being there. In fact, I'm not really all that worried about a lot of things when it comes to the Chiefs. I'm more concerned about the Chargers game. But really and truly, this sucks because you want to go without having these things happen. Again, Bo shouldn't have thrown that ball, and I think he realizes that. But in that same vein, you want to wish the best and hope that Pat Bryant ends up okay. I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case because not even just the fact that he's a promising potential young star in this offense, but really and truly when it boils down to it, we're going to need him for the final game against the Chargers and then, of course, the playoff run itself. And, of course, as long as the Broncos win the next 2 games, we'll have that first round bye. We'll be able to rest dudes, get everybody coming back, and, of course, get prepared for said first playoff game in the divisional round. But to me, you just want to wish the best for Pat Bryant. Hopefully he'll be all right, and I'm trusting again that he will. Nonetheless, just things you hate to see regardless. So we'll get to seeing how all this works out in the coming days, but nonetheless, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. What do y'all think about the things that I talked about? Let me know y'all thoughts down below. Y'all know how this works. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And of course, this has been your time with A&J, and I appreciate you spending it with me.